Welcome, Degens, to another edition of the Degen Docs. That is right, folks. We are the Degen Docs, and today is a very special day because we are doing our first live Best Ball Mania 5 draft. Look, there is $15 million guaranteed up for grabs, folks. So, of course, we got to get a piece of that action. We're also going to be breaking down all the latest and greatest NFL training camp injury updates, injury news. So join us, the Degen Docs, two medical professionals that first love was football, second love was making cash off football. All right, folks, the Best Ball Mania 5 live draft edition of the Degen Docs on the Sports Game Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is giving away, again, $15 million guaranteed for Best Ball Mania 5. Sign up today with our promo code SGPN Doc. That is all caps, all one word, SGPN Docs, and claim your first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. Look, that's either a free $250 or that is 10 free entries into Best Ball Mania 5. Use that promo code SGPN Doc, UnderdogFantasy.com. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm has the best AI picks and projections, and their football models are almost live. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. All right, folks, let's kick this off. I am joined by my co-host, my brother in degeneracy, as always, Mr. Professor Locks. How are we doing, brother?
We're doing awesome, dude. We are officially to the week. Basically, that we won't have another week like this until Valentine's Day. Football is back tomorrow.
Until February. That is you know what? We will cheers to that. Our first cheers of the show. Look, man, that's a lot of time until we don't have football. So that is just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Of course,
amazing.
We have the Hall of Fame game tomorrow night. Now, we can get excited because it is football. However, you know why I'm excited? You know, you go in, it's preseason, right? You're not like, yes. It's hard to get a good read. Can you really handicap preseason? You know, you're getting into the weeds, you're getting into a lot of thinking. But, you know, I was looking at this game, and there's one thing I know for sure, and it's that I want to back this guy. And by this guy, I'm talking about the starter for tomorrow's game for the Chicago Bears, Mr. Tyson Bagent. Just look about what he's been doing this offseason.
Yeah, you know, I didn't really think too much about it. I was too busy grinding my absolute face off in the offseason. But whatever they were going to do, you know, that's completely up to them. I can't control that. But
that is oh man.
Hey, if Caleb Williams goes down at any time throughout the season, they are in good hands. As long as he has some part of his face left, if he ground his whole face off, that may just be scary. I don't know if we can allow that.
I encourage y'all to listen to the whole what's it called? The press conference there, because my guy does really give a good press conference in there. He said also he did a mile long of burpees and broad jumps for a straight mile. That's what he was talking about, grinding his face off. He did burpees. Like that's really impressive.
Yeah, does he have CTE already, or like who does that? what kind of person in their right mind? Let's just go do burpees for a fucking mile.
And broad jumps. Don't forget broad jumps.
Yeah.
Hey, man, it's Tyson fucking Bagent. That's all. The guy who's grinding his face off. It sounds like you need to get on your grind and get on his level.
Hey, he needs to head on over to Cleveland, make good friends with Jameis. Between those two, I don't know who would give the better
post-game press conference.
That's exactly right.
Neil and amazing press conference.
But yeah, no, the with the Hall of Fame game tomorrow, like you said, excited that football's back, but it's still preseason football, and we have some other sporting events going on right now that, you know, we have to wait 4 years for in terms of the Olympics. So have you been checking out any Olympic events over the last few days?
Of course. One of the benefits of working, you know, for a government facility. So for those that don't know, in the Army, right, is we get to put the Olympics on the TV because it's the American thing to do, right? We get to watch root for Team USA in whether it's ping pong, volleyball. It's actually pretty sick. One of my coworkers, she made like an entire board that has like the TV schedule. So we have the TV always up and running.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, women's soccer, I will say, the other type of football, they're looking pretty good, man. I'm already got laid that down for them to bring it home. So
hey, I appreciate your new investment into the sport of what we call soccer here in America. But I personally have been looking at these other sports that we don't get to see all the time on TV. So like I've been watching handball. I was watching some sort of like speed climbing type thing the other day. I mean, it's just wild. Some of these athletes that, they literally train their whole lives for like 2 minutes every 4 years. And if they fuck up like a tenth of a second, like it was all for nothing. Not
you be
necessarily all for nothing, but you don't medal. It's nuts.
Will you be watching breakdancing this year?
No.
I found out today that was a thing. It's called breaking, apparently. But crazy stat of the day. Since I think it was 1988, the Summer Olympics introduced table tennis. There's been 38 possible gold medals. China has won 33 out of 38. Look,
doesn't the US have a dude though in ping pong?
All I know is that I was watching China, North Korea last night.
I'm pretty sure we have a dude that's pretty good, but I think he's also been known to not be able to pass a drug test as well. So,
in table tennis?
Yes, I think if I'm thinking of the right person.
Oh man, I really hope we have a guy playing ping pong on PEDs. That would be absolutely American as fuck. But isn't that crazy, man? 33 out of the 38 gold medals for China. We talk about a Patriots dynasty. We talk about all these other dynasties. I mean, hey, I got to give it to them, at least in the table tennis. But when it comes to real football, they don't stand a damn chance to the United States. And that's what we're talking about. We got Justin Bruni in the chat. What is up, brother? Let's go. That is right. Still plenty of time to get in here because we're going to talk some training camp news first, and then we're going to jump over to best ball. And we are, of course, going to be drafting live for our chance at $15 million. Cannot say that enough. $1.5 million to first. So let's talk about some training camp news here. I'm going to start rolling some of these off. It's been a little up and down, nothing too crazy. So we're just going to hit the highlights. If you're a grinder, if you're someone who wants to know every day what's going on, check us out over at X. So at the Degen Doc, I'm putting out a injury update and news every day at usually around 9 p.m. I will drop down everything that happened that day of relevance, offense, defense. If it's football, we're talking about it. So make sure you follow for that. We're going to be hitting the highlights here because we don't want to be running on and on and on. So why don't we start with one of your guys there up in Pittsburgh and Yinzerville, Roman Wilson. One of the newer injuries happened yesterday, carted off the field with an ankle injury called week to week.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, obviously the Steelers bring him in. I think he was a 3rd round pick for them this year. Mm-hmm. Their wide receiver room's already not super deep, at least at the top end. So, I think they're really looking for him to do big things. So these reps that he's going to be missing over the next couple weeks because of this injury are, big time experience for him. So it's kind of bad luck in terms of the injury, but I would rather it happen now than week 2, week 3 during the season. Yeah. At the end of the day, like you said, it's week to week. It's kind of hard to say whether it was a high ankle sprain, low ankle sprain.
Yeah.
Inside, outside. They really haven't said anything about that.
So my thought here is, when we talk about low and high ankle, right? So low ankle, what we think about as a typical ankle sprain. So you're playing basketball, you roll your ankle, that right ankle rolls underneath you. That is more the mild type, right? Typically,
couple weeks, maybe. Yep.
Yeah. Some guys even come back and play the same week that next week if it's season, right? Week to week tells me one of two things. It tells me I'm thinking it's either a grade 2 low ankle sprain, right? So everything is based on grades. Grade 1 is mild. Grade 2 is moderate. Grade 3 is severe full tear. It's all about the amount of damage done to that ligament, that tendon, so on and so forth, right? So this is telling me it's either that or, like you said, it might be a mild high ankle sprain. Now, it's not season threatening. They didn't have to put any type of cast. There's not talks about we're talking about months or anything like that. But week to week is not what I want to hear immediately. Right. Yep. Especially you talked about it as a rookie. We talked about who's going to be the wide receiver 2 for Pittsburgh. Is it going to be Van Jefferson? Is it going to be Roman Wilson? Is it going to be Calvin Austin? This gives those other guys an opportunity to at least get the reps that the rookie wide receiver is not getting. So, although the alarm bells aren't going off, this does kind of put him lower down on where I think he's going to fall in the pecking order, at least early on in the season, right? So we talked about a guy like Van Jefferson, who no one's talking about, who's shown to have some NFL production before.
Sure.
Does this elevate him? For me, it does a little bit. Again, nothing crazy, because we talked about it. We're higher on the Steelers running backs, but you really hit the thing as far as rookie wide receiver missing reps.
And staying there in Latrobe, Russell Wilson missing the first 3 or 4 days with a calf kind of injury, which is kind of strange. You think coming into camp you should be pretty much as healthy as you're going to be, and he misses the first 3 or 4 days, which kind of opens up that window of opportunity for my boy Justin Fields to get some of those reps in. So obviously Coach T came out, said, hey, Russ is at pole position. That pole position might start to even out the more that this kind of lingers on. But I think he's been back in practice at least today, if not yesterday as well.
Yesterday he did some individual stuff. Today he's getting back. So he's working his way back in. It is a calf injury. Calf strains do have a moderate re-injury risk, right? So hamstring strains.
And we're talking about a 36-year-old quarterback at this point. So they're probably wanting to be a little bit more conservative with him.
Yeah, and they should be, right? They got, we're right around, I think it's 39 days until the NFL kickoff, until we really start getting jacked up for it. But he does have time. It's just one you want to look at, make sure. But you're right, Justin Fields, of course, running around when you can't hit the quarterback. Everyone's going to love Justin Fields. So we'll see if the coaches fell in love a little bit. One we'll rat it off real quickly. Houston Texans defensive end Denico Autry was looking to be a rotational player, get some time. Don't do drugs, kids. Performance-enhancing drugs, 6-game suspension. So maybe he'll be joining our table tennis star for America on their QB list. But he's suspended. And then another defensive lineman there, not in Houston, but New England. Christian Barmore. This was an interesting one. We talk about blood clots, right? So obviously build up a plaque in the arteries, right? Blood clots, if we stop getting blood flow to our body or to our heart issue. So we don't hear this a lot, not a lot of cardiovascular things. And it's hard to put a timetable on this, right? Because is this just a one-off? Obviously there's some type of underlying situation going on. So when is he going to be cleared by the cardiologist to even start running or start giving some extraneous activity? It's really hard to replicate the amount of activity and stress your body's going to be under when you're going up against 300-pound individuals, right? 100%. So where are you at with Barmore?
Like you said, the timetable wise, it is super hard because his body, our bodies can start developing these clots for multiple different reasons, right? And depending on where these clots are found, how close they are to the heart and to the lungs, if if one of these clots breaks loose and it travels all the way up through your veins or through your arteries or whatever into your heart or lungs, now we're asking for big time issues. So, it's really kind of one of those things that, it's really week to week, month to month, kind of out indefinitely, until we really start figuring things out. And we probably won't know a lot about his injury as much as most because it's just kind of so odd.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna get any real. We'll get maybe updates, but it's gonna be really tough. Yeah. So, and he's a huge piece of that off our defensive line. Excuse me, in New England. New England does not have a lot going on for them right now.
Defensive line is though.
Defensively, yeah, right. Their defense, especially last year, was pretty good. I do expect them to take a dip without Belichick. Right. Who knows, what Mayo is going to be able to provide there, but that's a big injury. That's, probably one of the few guys on their team that you really do not want to lose.
And even going back to the timeline thing, like it's hard to say, hey, he may be out 2 weeks. He may be out 6 weeks. He may be out 10, 12 weeks. It's hard to even plan for how, bringing another guy in or yes, no, maybe so, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, this is scary stuff. I mean, right now, the first concern is yes, he's out of the hospital, which is great. Is can this guy live a healthy life, life anymore? Like, will he be able to get back to where he is, just quality of life? And then you start talking about spreading it up. Like, can he play the game of football again? So really just hope everything is going okay with Christian Barmore, excuse me. Just a scary situation, but glad to hear he's out of the hospital. All right, we got a couple more guys we're going to talk about, and then we're going to head into the best ball streets, baby. So if you have any questions about anyone in particular, definitely drop them in the chat. Get ready to join us during this draft here. And of course, we're going to be talking about a ton of guys as we go into the best ball draft, because that's what's awesome about best ball. It's a great way to just talk football and then have the shot at winning $1.5 million. Who the hell doesn't want to do that? All right. We're going to talk about a real quick retirement. Let's wish well wishes to Carolina running back Rashad Penny, a guy who had a lot of potential coming out of San Diego State, but just, due to injury luck, he couldn't stay on the damn field. And it sucks. But I think you start looking at it, the body can only take so much. Mentally, you can only take so much, where you're just training and every season it's something or other where he just can't stay on the field. So I think, we talk about this with a lot of soldiers, but it just becomes a quality of life thing, right? 100%. Are you just going to keep running into the wall and just putting your body through this grinder of an NFL season when you're really not seeing the rewards? So, it definitely sucks that he did not get to see his potential, but it happens to a lot of folks. We wish Rashad Penny the best there. Let's talk about a guy who also can't stay on the field, and Kadarius. My former Gator. I always do that. Oh, geez. My former Gator, and my former Giant for a little bit. But I will say, as much as Kadarius Toney has caused me a lot of heartburn and headaches, when he was on the New York Football Giants, he did prevent the Philadelphia Eagles from winning a Super Bowl. So I cannot be that mad at him. But, of course, he picked up an ankle injury. What do we got there?
Yeah, again, kind of like Rowan Wilson. We don't really know exactly the severity of this injury. He was at least able to get off the field. He was able to get into the tent by himself, but then he was carted up the hill to get some further testing. Rowan Wilson was carted right off the field. So theoretically, probably in a little bit better shape, maybe a little less severe, but it's really hard to say. Kind of another day-to-day, week-to-week kind of an injury.
Yeah, definitely more to follow with Kadarius Toney. It's just with his injury history, like, holy shit, man. The guy, like, we all knew it was going to happen, right? I mean, I think I saw someone tweet out, like, I guess football is really back if Kadarius Toney is in the injury tent.
And the thing is, like we were kind of talking with Rowan Wilson, he might be Pittsburgh's 2. He may be their 3. Kadarius Toney's at least 4, maybe 5 on the depth chart.
RB2.
Well, that could be true. But, I mean, he might be a returner, but other than that, he's not as high on that depth chart most likely. So I'm not as concerned from a fantasy perspective.
He just doesn't get the snaps, man. He has boom plays, right? He's a fun anytime touchdown play, right? Because you can get the return possibility. He's a fun player to watch, but from a fantasy perspective, it's just hard to say he's going to be, any type of wide receiver 1 or 2. Can't stay healthy, and he just doesn't get the snaps. So, all right, let's wrap this up here. Rams offensive guard Jonah Jackson out with a bruised scapula. They're expecting him to be out to be 6 weeks. Now, this is one of the biggest injuries, I think, of training camp so far. They brought Jonah Jackson over from Detroit to shore up that offensive line. Matthew Stafford, when he has time, is a really good quarterback. When he doesn't, he picks up injuries, and that team falls apart. So this is a massive injury for me. They're calling it, bruised scapula. I'm assuming they mean bone bruise. You don't really see that. Are we saying a hairline fracture? They didn't say a fracture. They didn't come out and say that, which is more of 2 to 3 months recovery timeline. But, what's your read on this bruised scapula?
Well, as far as the bruised scapula goes, I think that's an odd injury to develop from an offensive lineman perspective. But this is also kind of going into, going back to when we were doing our division and team previews. I was not high on the Los Angeles Rams for a reason. It seems like they always have the injury bug. It just does, So, it's kind of a weird thing. Like you said, Stafford's awesome if he has time, if he's on 2 feet. Without Jonah Jackson, who else do they have to fill in for that first 6 weeks of the season?
Yeah. Well, I mean, so you're looking at about 6 weeks to the start of the season right now, but they do play the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
So that's his former team. I'm sure he's going to want to try to get back in that game. So that's one to watch out for. But again, if he can't go, that really hinders them up front on the offensive line. And we just know for sure he's not going to get many reps. And offensive line is about chemistry. He's a new player. He's coming to a new team. He's a really good player. I liked that signing. It's one of the reasons I was higher on the Rams this season. But new offensive lineman, It's all about chemistry, man.
Yep.
All right, we're going to talk about really quickly Nick Chubb, and then we're going to get into this Best Ball Mania street. So we hope you join us again. Promo code SGPN Doc, free $250. All right. So Nick Chubb, ACL, meniscus, MCL, 2 surgeries. He's one of the hottest topics in the fantasy streets right now. He was running. So a lot of people saw the video, the 600-pound squat, whatever the hell it was. We broke it down on our AFC North preview. Not that impressive to us. Listen, hold on. Let me, before someone thinks that not squatting 600 pounds is not impressive. Yes, impressive feat. As far as ACL recovery, not that impressive to me. Show him cutting, making lateral movements, single leg unilateral movements,
reacting to something.
Yes. Exactly. Much more happy. We talked about in ACL rehab, the quads are king. The squat is a glute and hamstring dominant exercise. So not really getting after what we're talking about when we want to talk about this ACL return. But I just want to update here. He's running per the team, but there's no timetable on the return. A lot of people are saying, hey, is he coming back week 1? I think we need to pump the brakes. I know Nick Chubb does this every year because he's a monster. He puts out cool workout hype videos, right? We just got to pump the brakes. It does not always.
So what you're saying is he's out 6 weeks.
Hey, you know me. I think that if Nick Chubb even returns by, I'd say week 8, I think that's an accomplishment.
I was going to say probably midpoint of the season is when I would start to look for Nick Chubb in a more normal role, if anything. He might get back week 6, week 7, something like that, but it's going to take him a few weeks even then to get rolling.
Yeah. So if you're drafting Nick Chubb for the purpose of, hey, I got some good running backs ahead of him, I want him for a late season push. I think, I'm not sold on Jerome Ford. I'm not sold on Foreman. I think he's going to come back in behind one of the best offensive lines in football. Nick Chubb will figure it out. Okay. I'm not making that move, but I can see that. But if you're drafting Nick Chubb thinking you're going to see Nick Chubb from the get-go or from week 4 and on,
no way.
Temper your expectations. That is very unrealistic. Again, 2 surgeries to repair his knee injury that we all saw. Very, very gruesome. All right, folks, we are about to hop in. But before we hop in, of course, we have to talk about Underdog Fantasy, one of our proud sponsors here. Underdog just launched Underdog Streaks. Hit your first 2 pick'em entries and then go streaking. If you can get a 11-0 run, you can win 1,000x. Plus, Best Ball Mania is live with $15 million in prizes, which is what we are about to jump into. Of course, they have season boost specials. They're doing discounts for week 1. Look, they really do a lot of specials and discounts. You definitely want to join Underdog if you haven't already. And before you do that, make sure you sign up with our promo code SGPN Doc. Again, you get a special pick, first time deposit offer. It's super easy. Sign up, promo code SGPN Doc. Boom. Deposit $250, get $250 free in your account. Again, 10 entries into the shot at winning $1.5 million. It is just too easy. So underdogfantasy.com, promo code SGPN Doc. Also want to tell you about Odds Jam. Odds Jam is your one-stop shop for beating the sportsbook. It uses millions of data points across every U.S. and Canadian sportsbook to show you the best value plays for your money. Line shopping tool. They've got an arbitrage tool. They got a new fantasy tool that helps with board books like Underdog Fantasy. They even have a tool to help you find the best sign-up bonuses. I'll help you out right now. Underdog Fantasy, SGPN Doc, $250. So if you're interested in trying out Odds Jam, you can get a 7-day free trial using the link that will be in the description after we're done recording. Don't forget to enter promo code SGPN to get 35% off your first month of your subscription. oddsjam.com, promo code SGPN. All right, folks.
Hey, did you say we were going streaking?
I thought immediately as I was reading that, we're going streaking in the quad. Oh man, yeah, Old School is just a phenomenal movie. Man. All right, let's stop joshing around. It is time to win
Best Ball Mania.
Okay, are you ready? Are you logged in? Are you ready to click? Because we will
just
both
have to hit enter.
Team here.
Count it down.
You ready? All right, folks. I'm gonna give you about 10 seconds to get ready. We've been talking about it, so if you want to join us, I'm gonna count it down. We will go from 5. All right, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get in there. Oh boy, here we go. Hopefully we join the same draft. I don't like how long it's taking.
I know. That's what I'm thinking. So
11 people. Oh, we got plenty of time. You in?
I think I got in a different one.
You gotta be kidding me.
My draft starts in 46 seconds.
Oh my goodness.
That's okay.
Oh, well.
I'll do mine separately.
You better be ready to multitask.
I can multitask.
I will allow some input for you to be on our team. So still waiting on 7. So if you can get in the draft, go ahead and do so.
I'm in the 10 spot for mine.
Listen, yours is about to be you're gonna have to learn how to multitask there because we are not jumping between 2. We can look at your team after though.
No, yeah, I can kind of keep you updated on who I'm taking, but we'll talk mostly about yours and who's on the board and what's going on. But so like I said, I'm in the 10 spot for round 1. Who would you be looking at around that 10 spot?
Weren't you in the 10 shot last draft? Who'd you want to go with? Did you go with Wilson?
I took Garrett Wilson the first time.
Yeah, we talked about.
For those of you that don't know, we wanted to test this through and make sure we could do this fairly well before going live. Obviously, we didn't test run it enough because we're in opposite drafts or in different drafts. But we did one on Monday, and I was in this 10 spot. I think you were in 12, right? You were going back to back. So.
Yeah, no, I think the 10 spot we talked about, if I don't think he will, but what are the chances Breece Hall can fall to you? Right. I think that would be, I really like Breece Hall this year, man. I mean, what he did 1 year post ACL to be 2 years off. And then like we talk about all the time. We broke this down when we did their division preview. Typically research shows it can take up to 2 years for a player to start actually feeling healthy. So he even said it himself. Breece Hall finally feels healthy from his ACL tear. That's scary based on what he looked like last year. When you're telling me, maybe he's 85, 75%. Like,
well, especially, week 1, I think you were not high on him basically the entire year, right? And in week 1, he looked like an absolute dog.
So I am in the 11th spot. Oh man.
I almost had Bijan, so I may have to go with Garrett Wilson again. I'm not a big Puka fan. I think Cooper Kupp's going to take up a lot of his volume. So I'm going to stick with Garrett Wilson.
A little bit lower on Puka as well.
I had there was 2 people ahead of me. Bijan was there. Breece Hall was there. They took both of them.
That's what you get. All right, in the main draft here. First of all, comment if you got in with us. I guess with me, but someone
we got Jonathan Taylor on the comeback, so it's all good.
So we've got taken out of the 11th spot here. CMC goes, Lamb goes, Hill goes, Chase, Amon-Ra. Man, I love Amon-Ra. We talked about him on their.
He's an absolute dog on receiver too. I've been watching that, and he's a dude.
He really is. He really is. Let's see here. Who am I gonna go with? So Breece Hall goes. Let's see if I would be very shocked if there's no way Bijan falls to me. He should be getting picked up right now. I don't know why he's there.
He was in the 9 hole in mine too.
Yeah, someone wised up. I don't know what that's
Somebody
about.
likes Puka a little bit too much, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was a little bit of that's not even a little bit for me. That's a big reach. That's a big reach for me. AJ Brown. Okay, I will gladly take Garrett Wilson out of the 11th spot there on the bring back. If I can get Jonathan Taylor, man,
that's what I did.
Did you grab Taylor on yours? Because
I did.
Hold on. Let me not talk too loudly here. The best ball streets are listening. Guy picked up Gibbs. I would.
Oh man,
back to back, and damn. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to go Olave here. I just think we talked about him when we broke it down, but basically, who else is New Orleans throwing the ball to? He is an absolute dog. He's done it. He's kind of quarterback proof, in my opinion. So Olave. I know he's picked up tiny injuries, like he had the shoulder in the offseason. He's picked up a little bit of hip. He just landed on his hip. He's already back at practice. Nothing too concerning there. And again, look at that wide receiver room for New Orleans. I'm looking to essentially, I'm not a big Derek Carr fan, but a guy like Juwan Johnson late in the draft, I would like to pair with him. That's probably it from the Saints for me, but Garrett Wilson, potentially looking at getting Rodgers super late, and then potentially Tyler Conklin, even a Mike Williams later in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Why don't we tell people about Best Ball? Obviously most people probably joining wanting to be on a Best Ball draft understand Best Ball, but in case you don't and you're newer to it, totally fine, right? First, remember promo code SGPN Doc. But Best Ball, really cool thing about it is, as opposed to a managed league, it's just that it's not a managed league, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to manage it. You just draft one time. You pick the guys who you think are going to pop, and each week it builds your best lineup for you.
Yep.
So it's pretty unique in that way. It's really fun, and then obviously being able to just compete for an entire season, going against all these different people. Again, $15 million up for grabs in guaranteed prizes, $1.5 million to the first. So what is your thought process as far as why don't we talk about quarterbacks for a little bit? I know it might be a little bit until we get to one, but are you, what point, what I think there's a tier where once that tier leaves, I'm really kind of waiting towards the end to really go on quarterback. What's your process in theory when you're getting after a quarterback here?
Yeah, and I'm really high, not necessarily really high, but if the top two guys, Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts, are there around their ADPs, I will usually take them. But after that, I'm gonna wait. I'm not a big Mahomes guy when it comes to fantasy. I'm not. Hold on, I'm on the clock actually. Pittman or Flowers?
Pittman by far for me. Mm-hmm. I'm high on the Colts, man. I don't even care if
I'll go Pittman. I took Flowers the other night.
Yeah, I don't even care if AR-15 is. Obviously, I want to be healthy, right? Especially being a former Gator, and they're a better team with him. But Joe Flacco, baby, he's shown he can get it done.
It's true.
He has shown he can get it done. So I really like the Colts team this year. I like their pick, Latu, coming out of UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
Great story if you haven't heard. I know we broke it down a little bit, but a guy who was told he was never going to get to play football again, and he had a neck injury. He was originally, what was it? It was it Washington? Yeah, I think he was originally at Washington.
He was originally at Washington for I think his first 2 years, and then he went to UCLA.
Yeah, so he picked up an injury going into his sophomore year. They basically told him, hey, you're never going to play football again. Yep. He said, you know what? Nope, I'm not taking that for an answer. He just continually rehabbed, continually grinded. 2 years, I think a year and a half later, he came back to them. And he's like, look, clear me. I'm ready to play football. They would not clear him under any circumstances, just being kind of a health risk, I guess, for them, liability. So he transferred to UCLA, and he went on to have an awesome year and be the first defensive player taken in this year's NFL draft. So absolute awesome story there for Latu.
Ooh.
Damn. I thought I was going to get neighbors.
Who's on your board there? I just took Pacheco.
I'm not taking Pacheco. No way. I will wait on running back.
I got him in the fourth round though.
You just got Pittman in the fourth.
I got Pittman in the third, Pacheco in the fourth.
I am actually gonna go Pittman here. Man, I wish I was able to get Jonathan Taylor in the first round. And then coming up in 2 picks, I'm not. You're high. What do you think about Pacheco? You're high on Pacheco?
I'm very high on Pacheco. Yeah, I think
really
the way that last season went for the Chiefs, it was all defense and hand Pacheco the ball 15, 20 times. It seemed like, he's become that bell cow, and I think it's just going to continue.
So I hate what I just did. I took a Philadelphia Eagle on my team in Jalen Hurts. However, in my mind, I'm justifying this as a way to fade Saquon Barkley. Because someone, I guess, has to score for that team.
Yeah.
And if it's not going to be Benedict Barkley, he had 15 rushing touchdowns last season. I understand what people are getting excited about Saquon, but it's funny because the Eagles fans went from saying, how could you spend this draft capital? How could you try to pay some guy who's always injured? And now they're absolutely in love with the guy, and he's never going to get injured, and he's just going to have a million carries, and they're suddenly going to start throwing to their running backs and stuff like that. So that's my justification. Why don't we find out from somebody who's not a diehard Giants fan? Where do you see Saquon going? Do you think he's got potential to be RB1 this year? Where do you kind of see him?
Yeah, I think Saquon's going to have a big year. Just looking at your board here, I'm really just looking at the running backs that have been taken. Obviously Christian McCaffrey is who he is. Breece Hall, I'm really high on. Jahmyr Gibbs is an interesting one. He's kind of one of those guys that, yes, he's has big play potential at any time, but he's going to get his touchdowns taken away from Montgomery, right? Anytime they get inside the 5, David Montgomery's going to bull his way in over Jahmyr Gibbs more often than not, it seemed like, at least last year. Derrick Henry, I'm a little bit lower on. Saquon, I'm a little higher on than Derrick Henry or Achane, because, again, I think Mostert is still there in Miami. But, yeah, I mean, just going through a few of those top dudes, that's kind of how I'm seeing things. I'm pretty high on Kyron Williams as well. I'm not a big Blake Corum fan. I don't know why I'm not a big Blake Corum.
He spent a lot of time in the Ohio State end zone.
He actually didn't as much as
Donovan Edwards.
Jonathan Edwards or Donovan Edwards. Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. College Football 25 cover photo athlete.
Yeah,
kind of, sort of.
It's
all right.
Wait until November again.
So a string of tight ends went off the board here with McBride, Kelsey, and Andrews. That's probably we talked. I'm pretty high on both McBride and Andrews this year. Obviously, Laporta. I would probably bump Andrews and Kelsey, but that's probably how I see it as far as tight ends. Those top tier tight ends going down. Any thoughts there? What are you thinking as far as in my eyes, it's Laporta, McBride, Andrews, Kelsey.
I would tend to agree with that in that order, actually. Let me just go ahead and take Anthony Richardson to pair with Pittman.
There you go.
Cool.
Absolutely zero correlation right now.
But yeah, no, I think I really like those 4. The tight end position as a whole has really developed over the last 2 or 3 years. Not too long ago, there were those 2 or 3 tight ends that you could basically lock into your lineup fantasy wise every single week. Yeah. But then it was who knows who's going to go off this week. It was kind of a rolling tight end room for me.
Yeah, just waiver wire city. Oh, yeah. Kyle Pitts goes. Ugh.
So I am also a big fan of Evan Ingram down in Jacksonville.
Yep.
Kincaid to a certain extent
Kincaid just went
up in Buffalo, but I may be looking at Kittle right here, actually.
Damn. So
here you go. I got it. 3. Pick one. Mixon, White, or Kittle.
I'm literally
Joe Mixon, Rashad White, or Kittle.
That is my debate right now. I mean, I have Jacobs ahead. I'm not a fan. AR-15. I have a quarterback. I don't like Jayden Reed. I am going to go Rashad White as 1. And then actually, I'm going to go Mixon first and hope that no one takes Rashad White. Who do you think I should take first? I got 2 picks away. White or Mixon? Who's more draftable? All right, we're going White because I almost ran out of time.
I actually just took White too. I'm hoping Kittle is around. Oh, just kidding. That was the comeback. Never mind.
I'm really hoping Mixon falls to me here.
I probably should have taken Kittle there, but it's okay.
You got 2 running backs already.
Have to come back around and
he'll probably take Kittle.
Grab Ingram.
He will probably take Kittle. Come on, baby. I feel like I'm waiting on them to flip the dealer to flip the card in blackjack. And I'm getting antsy for Vegas for week 1, man. I'm very excited for that. All right, he took Jayden Reed. All right, thank you very much. I will gladly take Joe Mixon. So after having no running backs, just picked up Rashad White and Joe Mixon, 2 guys who I think are both being slept on. I mean, Rachaad White, who else is getting any touches in the Tampa Bay backfield? And then Joe Mixon, they, as much as I love Dameon Pierce, again, another guy who's a Gator. Look at all these Gators in the NFL, man. But the Texans hate him right now. Like, they don't use him at all. Like, he is one of the hardest runners I've ever seen. But I mean, I will never forget to play against FSU where his helmet popped off and he didn't give a damn and he still tried to run in the end zone. Now it didn't count because his helmet popped off, but he just ran right into some guy's chest with no helmet on. Like, this guy is just a dog.
Right.
But, yeah, they hate him. So I like Joe Mixon a lot this year.
Oh my. So who do you have
through your team real quick as we're taking a little lull in the action as I'm
okay. Let me see.
Wait a while until
so far I have Anthony Richardson at quarterback.
Okay.
I have Jonathan Taylor, Pacheco, and Rachaad White as running back. And then I have Garrett Wilson and Michael Pittman in the wide receiver room. So I'm looking for wide receivers unless there's a tight end there that I really like at this point.
Do you have any correlation right now?
I just have Richardson and Pittman.
Okay. That's
back there.
I mean, it'd be great to have Taylor, but that's pretty unrealistic. But maybe. Yeah, probably. But yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, Matt, I've got Garrett Wilson as well, Pittman as well, Chris Olave, Jalen Hurts, Rachaad White, and Joe Mixon. I like my team. I just need to start getting correlated a little bit here. So we can do that. All right. What are some other guys we can talk about here? Xavier Worthy, Kansas City wide receiver. That wide receiver room is a bit interesting. Where do you rank those wide receivers as far as, and let me make sure Hollywood Brown already went. So in this draft, it went Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, and then Xavier Worthy coming in last. Do you agree with that order?
Hold on, I'm on the clock. I'm gonna take a stab in the dark. I really don't like this spot very much.
What are you considering there?
I got Brian Thomas, Allison, or Naj, but I already have running backs. I may go Jake Ferguson. That's not bad.
That's not bad.
Jake Ferguson in the tight end spot.
Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, I hate the Cowboys, but yeah, I mean,
I'm not a big Brian. I'm not huge into drafting rookie wide receivers to begin with.
Yeah,
unless it's the Marvin Harrison Jr. And then Jordan Addison up in Minnesota. Who knows what their quarterback situation is going to look like? So
JJ starting week 1. I think he's like plus 310 now, but he looks awful in practice. Holy shit, man!
I would have guessed that.
Well, I'm just saying, man, you trade up into the top 10 to go get your guy.
Yeah.
And your alternative is Sam fucking Darnold.
Yeah.
I'm expecting the fans are going to be calling for JJ. But if they want that to happen, they might need to just lock down training camp and not release any videos when he's throwing the ball because he's looked awful. All right. I'm coming up here. Let's see. I need a tight end, but I can always wait for that. Oh, baby. I hope, again, it's not correlated, but I'm starting to get to the point where I don't give a damn. I'm really eyeing Najee Harris. You got Brian Thomas, JSN, Jordan Addison ahead of him. Well, Brian Thomas just went, and I am on the clock. I will gladly take Najee Harris. We talked about the Pittsburgh Steelers, how we think they're going to absolutely run the damn ball this year. This is not a fade to Jaylen Warren. I think they both have a chance to have really successful years, but and plus.
Yeah, no, but I'm really high on both of them as well. Najee is kind of that guy, it seems like, taking up the majority of the carries. Are you back?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You were sound like you were in
I was in deep thought, man.
Underwater there for a second, actually.
I'm in deep thought thinking about who I want to take here.
Gotcha.
Do I go? No. Zamir White or Jaylen Warren? Man,
I'd go Zamir White.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Zamir White too.
He's probably the guy in
I don't think it's a question.
Las Vegas now.
I mean, who are you?
almost slipped up there.
Who in the
Took
world?
the Raiders back to a former city.
Vegas Raiders. Who are the Raiders, gonna hand the ball off to? If it's not him, Alexander Madison, Amir Abdullah. I understand that people are talking about his efficiency and yada, 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 but Antonio Pierce is going to run him 300 times a game. We saw it the last 4 weeks of the season.
What is going on, dude? Is that just me?
What?
Uh-oh. We're breaking up a little bit. Something. You're frozen. Anyways, where do we know where you are in your draft?
Is it not showing the screen?
I mean, it does, but you're like locking up a lot of times. So, anyways, it looks like you have a shit ton of running backs at this point, right?
Yeah,
I'm the last 4 picks have been running backs.
I am taking the get off of my lawn approach for best ball this draft.
Okay.
No, I definitely I need to start. I started off 3 wide receivers, and then I went quarterback and 4 running backs. Or did I go 5 running? I think I went 5 running backs. Let's see. 3 wide receivers, Hurts, and then 4 running backs in a row.
Hold on 1 second.
What about looks like Jonathan did he go yet? No, Jonathan Brooks has not gone, which I like to see because I think he was getting drafted way too high.
Definitely.
So let's talk about Brooks real quick. Coming off an ACL tear, he's got about 10 months from his injury to the start of the season. Typically want to be closer to that 11 to 12 month mark. So I think there's a good chance he's out, and Jonathan Brooks does just go after ADP there at 96, but still I am not touching him with a 10-foot pole. Now, this is not for the player. I think Jonathan Brooks is pretty good. I think he has the potential to be the best running back in that draft class. But for this season, I'm not high on Jonathan Brooks. He's also, I would much rather take a guy like Chuba Hubbard in that spot.
Hold on. Let's see here. Okay.
What's your read on the Carolina backfield?
It's kind of all over the place, to be honest with you. I mean, I would probably go with Chuba, especially earlier on, but I really don't have a ton of faith really in any of them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I do think I do. I mean, I like Chuba Hubbard at his ADP for sure. But you're right. I mean, it's hard because that team had 7 total rushing touchdowns last season in the entire
something like that. They were god awful.
So I mean, I don't know. I think they're going to be a little bit better just by the means of regression, but I don't know. I don't think they're going to be a ton better, honestly.
No, completely agree there.
This is an interesting one. What about the Washington Commandos backfield? As Brian Robertson just goes off the board there, I was kind of I need to stop taking running backs, but I did think about potentially driving him. What's your situation? What are you reading on, whether it's camp or whether it's just production from last year, how this team wants to play, Austin Eckler or Brian Robinson?
Yeah, in terms of fantasy, I think I'm almost trusting Brian Robinson more just from a pure volume standpoint. Obviously, it's kind of hard to say that with Eckler coming over from the Chargers. It's kind of hard to tell how that new coaching staff is really going to use him week to week. But he even came out and said, like, I'm like an every other down guy. Like I'm not an every down back. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I do like Washington's offense a lot more this year compared to last year as a whole. But yeah, the running back spot in terms of fantasy and really best ball as well is really hard to get a good read on.
Yeah, absolutely. I really wanted Brock Bowers. He went 1 pick ahead of me. So I paired Hurts with his tight end in Goddard.
There
And
you go.
I'm on the clock
There you go.
again. And I have
What the fuck?
no correlation here.
Huh.
Let's go with. I'm gonna go Shakir here. Yep, I'm gonna go Shakir here. I thought I was gonna go Lockett, but I do think JSN is gonna take a step forward there and start really eating into Lockett's touches.
I definitely agree, unless they end up trading DK to my Steelers. You know,
There's
been some
no
rumors
way.
out there.
Where are you reading that? Where are you reading that on the Yinzer News?
Yep. But no, I tend to agree there. I think JSN's. I don't know if he necessarily like started getting pissed that they just weren't getting him the ball, but he was also used to getting like 12 targets a game when he was in college too. So
yeah,
it's just kind of
those
changing.
are Ohio State kids, man. Entitled when they get to the league. All right, as we're waiting for this to snake back around, let me tell you folks about what we got going on here at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. The flagship Sports Gambling Podcast has launched their 32 NFL team previews. And as a bonus, each team preview will include a code word. So submit the 32 code word phrase, and you could be the lucky winner who gets a $500 NFL Circa Future Bet.
Nice.
Subscribe wherever you get your podcast and the SGPN app. Of course, download the SGPN app if you haven't already. But yeah, it's a fun little kind of like Where's Waldo word search. Listen to the episodes. You get one word per episode, and then you'll get a 32-word phrase. You submit that in there, and of course, they're not just going to give away $500 in just regular cash, because you might spend it on something like groceries or something unimportant. So we got to make sure you get you locked down over at Circo with a nice $500 future there. All right. Let's take a look at the board. Who do I want to start pairing with? I do want to grab Baker later. What are some other guys that I would not mind taking? Jalen McMillan, assuming he has not already gone. I don't think it's a little early for him.
So here, I have a quick question for you. So I actually had some technical difficulties over on my end and had to allow the computer to.
You auto drafted
for one pick, yeah, and then I got back on the board. But
you're a failure.
I know. I'm in need of another wide receiver. So Jalen Polk's still on the board. Gabe Davis.
I like Jalen Polk, man. I got him lead rookies in receiving yards at 40 to 1.
That's the direction I'm leaning, but I'm also kind of looking at Xavier Legette down in Carolina.
I mean, hey man, if you want to mess around with Bryce Young, go right ahead.
I just like listening to Xavier Legette, to be honest with you.
He definitely seems like he is a character, which I love, man. The access stuff, not only obviously does it humanize these guys, but it really is just kind of a cool, whether it's the receiver show or the hard knocks. It's just like really you feel enveloped into that NFL world. For a lot of us who I would imagine had dreams of one time playing in the NFL, it's kind of cool to feel like you're part of the gang with these stuff. But yeah, that guy seems hilarious.
No doubt about it. Yeah, he made an appearance on receiver, but he was still at South Carolina at the time.
Oh, did Debo go back?
Debo went back. Debo took a trip back.
So I've got a situation where, so let's see where Nick Chubb goes off the board. I think what I'm going to do here is start pairing some wide receiver ones with their wide receiver twos. I've got a chance where I could take both Mike Williams and Josh Downs pretty soon after each other. I got to start planning for my Baker stack here. No, it's way too early.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what, like I was saying. I had a little bit of a
there he is.
While you're on the clock, I'll explain my
thanks for coming out on the clock, because I'm not gonna lie, I had no idea.
Yeah. But anyway, I was on. I had to auto draft a pick, and I had already taken Anthony Richardson and my boy Joe Burrow, and they auto drafted me Jaden Daniels. Thanks, appreciate that.
Nice little 3 quarterbacks, man. If anyone, fucker,
yeah.
This guy Content might be listening because he's taking about 5 of my picks. Now he is the guy directly before me twice, but still, what the fuck, man?
Hey, at least I mean you could have had a chance at taking Nick Chubb there, but somebody stole that opportunity from you.
I'm okay. I will survive. Do I go Dalton Schultz and wrap up my tight end room with him and who the hell did I take it? Oh, Goddard.
You had Goddard earlier. Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. We're gonna wrap up the tight end room. I do think Dalton Schultz, a guy like Joe Mixon, who is getting thought like just being forgot, right?
Yep.
You know, you've got CJ Stroud, then you've got Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, and Tank Dell, who are all, you know, it's kind of simmered down and gone back to reality a little bit, but they're all getting drafted at their ceilings. And you can't expect that, right? It's one team. You can't have everybody having the season of their life. So it does create opportunity for guys like Schultz and Mixon, who I do find myself grabbing a lot of because of their price point.
Yep. 100%. Cool. So who all do we have at this point in the draft? What round are you on?
I am just got to round 12.
Okay.
So we got 5.5 rounds left.
Gotcha.
What are you in? 13 then?
I believe so. Yes.
I'd say for
14. Just kidding.
The 14th. All right. Let's see.
No, I'm in 13. Just kidding. I am in 13.
Xavier Legette, your boy, just does go. Marshawn Lloyd, that's an interesting one. Let's talk about the, dealing with a little bit of a hip flexor injury, hip pointer. He's back at practice, going through team drills, right? Nice little Underdog updates. Those are always very, very handy. I think we're both. Remind me. I know I am not high on Josh Jacobs. Where do you stand on Josh Jacobs?
I think just looking at that division, to be honest with you, I would probably put him as RB1 or RB2 still. I mean, with the two-headed monster, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, like it's just hard to know who's going to get the majority of the points there because Montgomery's going to most likely get more touchdowns.
I love Montgomery.
Gibbs is going to have a ton more out of the backfield as a receiver and probably more yards just because of his big play abilities. And who the Bears have at this point?
They've got DeAndre Swift, Roschon Johnson.
Yeah,
and
I'm not a big fan of Swift. Roschon. I think that's going to be
true
kind of a
committee.
Rolling committee. Yep.
Like the most running back room committee by far, which is why.
And then Aaron Jones going over to Minnesota. Like I think he takes a step back just from the offensive perspective. Like
that was a weird trade.
They're gonna load up on him a little bit more with that either rookie quarterback or Sam Darnold. Yeah.
Here's my thing. Josh Jacobs, everyone knows he's not the most effective running back, and Marshawn Lloyd does go at pick 148, a little bit past his ADP. That offensive line for me is just unproven. They had 3 guys, Bakhtiari, and a couple other guys who had been like common pieces on that offensive line for a while leave in the offseason. And they're starting a 7th round pick at left tackle. They've got some young, unproven players on that offensive line. We've talked about chemistry. Like it is a little bit of a fade. They've got Jordan Love and those wide receivers that everybody's, no pun intended, falling in love with. But they kept AJ Dillon for whatever reason. They love AJ Dillon. They're going to apparently give him some carries. They're talking about how good he looks in camp. Now, is that just camp talk to get him traded? I don't know. But you got the Marshawn Lloyd kid who everyone's expecting to take that RB2 role. I don't think Josh Jacobs is going to get the Josh Jacobs workload we're used to seeing in Las Vegas. He has been undoubtedly the guy in Las Vegas. And when he stayed healthy, which he's had some trouble with,
Sure.
He's gotten a tremendous amount of touches. I just don't see that. And I see him behind taking a step back in the offensive line perspective. For me, I am not targeting a guy like Josh Jacobs. But hey, to each their own. Damn, Chuba Hubbard.
Who do you like more, Noah Fant or Hunter Henry?
Henry, by far.
You think? Even with the quarterback issues in New England, offensive line is kind of in shambles at this point.
Yeah, Colin Strange being out, it does hurt them. But
Colin Strange.
Yep.
Hunter Henry.
I'm gonna go
Rodgers. I would probably agree just from a pure volume standpoint, like we were just talking about, JSN, DK, and Lockett being wide receivers. I just don't see Fant getting as many targets.
Yep. I just went with Aaron Rodgers here to kind of pair him with Wilson and Williams. I'm now looking potentially to go wide receiver, could go running back. Rashad Bateman, or do I go with my man Ricky Pearsall? I'm just nervous. Ayuk's not going to get traded, man.
I would probably go Bateman there.
Yeah, this has been a guy who I've faded consistently the past 2 years.
Yeah,
but I like Flowers. Don't get me wrong, and I do think that Andrews is going to have a step forward, but he really could be a solid wide receiver 2, wide receiver run option. Like, it is late enough now. He was getting drafted way too soon in the past, so that was obviously led to the reason I was fading him. I love Ricky Pearsall coming out of Florida, but it's just hard to imagine that he's going to get on the field because he doesn't play the same role as Juwan Jennings or Brandon Ayuk. He plays a Deebo Samuel role, and Deebo Samuel is not coming off the field. And if anything, he kind of plays a little bit like Christian McCaffrey with the routes that he runs, and he's not coming off the field. So, unless they really are going to trade or figure something out with Ayuk, which I think is looking less and less likely, I just as much as I love Ricky Pearsall as a player, I just don't think that's the right situation for him to really break out this year.
Yeah, no, I would tend to agree with you. It's just, it was almost a strange pick to begin with by the Niners, unless they were truly expecting this this Ayuk situation a few months ago, which Lynch is a whole hell of a lot smarter than I am when it comes to that kind of shit. So he could have, but it's like you said, it's kind of a loaded offensive weapon room to begin with. They have dudes everywhere on both offense and defense. So,
I do think their defense takes a step back. You got Greenlaw likely going to be out mostly, if not the entire season. You got Hufanga coming back from an ACL injury, and they traded away some guys on that defensive line, and Drake Jackson just picked up a pretty significant injury. So you're higher on them than I am. Obviously, go back to the NFC South, West episode if you want to check out our true opinions and thoughts on them. But I don't. You're right on the offensive side. I cannot argue with you that the San Francisco 49ers are stacked on the offensive side.
So we're getting later in my draft for sure.
Yeah, I got 4 rounds left. I was just about to ask you who I'll make my picks. I'll do the last.
What I'm looking at right now is either Wan'Dale Robinson, a Roman Wilson, a Troy Franklin in Denver situation. I'm kind of weighing those 3. I know obviously you're a big Wan'Dale Robinson guy, being a Giants fan.
Yes, sir, baby.
But I kind of like the Troy Franklin Bo Nix combo coming from Oregon.
Yeah, Oregon.
They already have a little bit of a combo.
What round are you in?
15.
15. Yeah, this is the time you take your dart throws, right?
Exactly.
I'm just gonna ask you, who are some guys that you're willing to take your dart throws? I think at this point in the board, you can start to throw away ADP. You start looking at either team need, or you just start looking at guys you really think are gonna exceed expectations.
Could potentially.
I think I'm looking at a guy right now. I'm looking at 2 rookies right now who I really can see some good things out of. Now I'm 4 picks away. They're a little bit down the board. I'm hoping no one snags them. I almost don't want to say it because every time I fucking said it, someone's taking them. But Malachi Corley and Jalen McMillan, 2 guys who I really, motherfucker. No way. Someone just took Jalen McMillan. All right. Well,
no, speaking of Corley, going back to our AFC East episode, I spoke that I was pretty high on him, and I'm really hoping on the comeback I can grab Corley in the 16th.
Both Corley and McMillan just went ahead of me.
Yikes!
Wow. All right. Well, fuck me. Okay. Well, we're gonna go with. How about we go with DJ Chark, a guy who is running with the first team offense, who is likely going to start. I mean, Quentin Johnson's inability to catch a damn football has been well documented at this point. I do not need to be the one to tell you that. So I do think JJ Chark, although I'm not high on the Chargers, I mean, I like Josh Palmer, but outside of him, man, I don't know if they got anyone that really threatens me. That offense to me makes no sense. You know, like you got the running back situation with Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, who just can't stay healthy or be the guy.
For sure.
Who do I go with here? Is Isaiah likely ever going to get any burn? No. Khalil Herbert, that's going to be hard. Bucky Irving. Do I take him in case Rachaad White goes down? Or Elijah Mitchell in case CMC goes down? No, I'm going to go Bucky Irving because I was reading about Jordan Mason and, you know, Shanahan falling in love with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's coach talk. It's preseason. You know, you never know. But yeah, there was basically saying like no fault to Elijah Mitchell, but Jordan Mason looks really good. Blah blah. Again, what does that mean, really? You know, who knows? Right. But figured, hey, I spent some decent draft capital on Rachaad White. If he does go down, somebody's got to catch something out of the backfield. So maybe Bucky Irving is that guy.
Yep.
Man, I'm pissed about both Corley and McMillan. Fuck.
Oh,
sharp individuals here.
Got to get things plugged in there. All right, cool. So in terms of numbers, where are you? You know, how many wide receivers, how many running backs, how many tight ends?
Yes.
Where do you want to be?
Yeah, my team is currently composed of 2 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 7 wide receivers, and 2 tight ends. So, you know, obviously you can make the argument for 2 or 3 quarterbacks.
Yep.
I will likely go 2 here. Unless someone's really speaking to me. I tend to, you know, it just really depends on how early I go quarterback and what falls to me and what makes sense with my stacks. I'm hoping if Juwan Johnson falls to me, I will be taking a 3rd tight end. Really, even a guy like Gesicki or Colby Parkinson, just because those teams use the tight end, and right now they're the tight end ones.
Yep.
But yeah, typically, you know, it's really the debate is how many quarterbacks and tight ends you take. You know, you want to make sure that you're kind of really loading up at wide receiver because I think those are the guys that have a lot more variance potential.
Yep.
You know, there's only so many running back slots in the NFL, but receiver, oh, wow. And as I'm talking, both Gesicki and Parkinson go, but not Juwan Johnson yet, so we'll see. Yeah, that's how I usually do it. I'll either go 3 tight ends or 3 quarterbacks. It just kind of depends. And then a decent mix of running backs and wide receivers.
Gotcha. No, that's kind of how I view things too. It kind of depends on which quarterbacks I get. Like if I get a not pure, but more running style quarterback, I may take that 3rd quarterback just in case of injuries.
Yeah.
As well, you know, because like I said, I got Jaden Daniels just on the fly kind of a thing. If he ends up being your 2 guy, I may get a 3rd one just in case he goes down because he's slim build. He does like to move around and he takes big shots. At least he did in college. So yeah, I'm kind of with you with the 2 to 3 quarterback market. And I think I'm going to go Juwan Johnson right now, actually.
Yeah, I think he just got taken in my draft.
And that rounds out 3 tight ends. So I actually have 3 tight ends and 3 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, and then I think 6 wide receivers. 1, 2, 3, 7 wide receivers. But I'll probably take a 5th running back here as my last pick.
Did Juwan Johnson get drafted?
So I'll probably go Deontay Foreman in Cleveland, just because I'm not a big Ford guy. And like we talked about a while back, Nick Chubb is not going to be around most likely for that first quarter, first half of the season at least. So,
yep. Oh, I'm hoping. I'm literally not going to say what I want to do because I've been absolutely sniped every time. I've got one more pick. If this guy takes who I want, this might be the last show. All right, there we go. Keaton Mitchell. Okay. Yeah, I was able to pick up Jawan Johnson and Darius Slayton to round out my draft there. So let me raid through this last ad read. We will look at our final teams and let's get the hell out of here. Before we head out here, let me tell you about Rhythm. That is right. If you are not checking out the AI picks and props from Rhythm, you are missing out. They just predicted a bunch of winners for the 3M. That is golf, for those who don't speak that. Open, and their football models are about to drop. You can customize your own betting models easily using Rhythm's tools. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Last but not least, let me tell you about Circa Sports. Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. Imagine the regret you'll feel if you win your office survivor pool but didn't enter the Circa Survivor for $10 million. Yeah, that talk about some guilt and remorse there. So if you don't have your trip booked for Vegas to sign up, look, they have an ultimate contest sign-up weekend, August 22nd through the 24th. You want to go to Vegas anyway, like you need an excuse. So go ahead and go out there, head on to the Circa. They got a bunch of open bars. You can use promo code SGPN15 to save 15% on your hotel room for sign-up weekend. Sign up in person at sports betting or Circa Sports between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere. You just got to sign up in person, and then you can use that proxy.footballcontest.com. Promo code SGP will save you $50 there. All right. As we are wrapping this thing up here, is your draft over?
I am. Yes, my team is full. It's locked in. I guess I should have been paying more attention to bye weeks.
Interesting. I didn't look at that at all, but hey,
I didn't either.
Great reminder for the folks. Shit. Okay. Yep,
yeah, I think I'm going to be on the edge of at least of even having a team to put on the field come week 14 of this NFL season.
Not the week you want to be locking right before the cutoff there. But
yeah,
you will survive, brother. All right. Why don't you read us off your team? I will read off my team, and then we will get the hell out of here.
So I have Anthony Richardson, Joe Burrow, and Jaden Daniels.
Okay.
Running backs, Jonathan Taylor, Isaiah Pacheco, Rashad White, Jaleel McLaughlin, and Deontay Foreman.
Okay.
Wide receivers, Garrett Wilson, Michael Pittman, Brandon Cooks, Jalen Polk, Jahan Dotson, Troy Franklin, and Malachi Corley. Okay. And then tight ends, I got Jake Ferguson, Hunter Henry, Juwan Johnson.
Okay. All right. I mean, I like your tight ends. Your wide receivers are a little top heavy. What are your running backs?
Well, and that's where, like I said, I should have been paying more attention to bye weeks because Pittman, Polk, Dotson, and Franklin, 4 of the 7 have bye weeks in week 14.
So you just need those other 3 to really pop.
Yeah. Really hoping those other 3 to pop. I have 2 running backs in week 14, 2 quarterbacks in week 14, a tight end in week 14, but it'll be all right.
It will be all right. All right. I'm going to pop on over to this tab, pull up my team here.
There you go.
Well, before we talk about mine, what is your overall grade for yours? What are you thinking?
I don't know.
You don't sound confident you're going to win
1.5. Yeah. I mean,
right now.
Obviously, I like my quarterback room, but I kind of reached a little bit more than I would have liked to for Burrow. Wouldn't have taken Jaden Daniels if it wasn't for my technological issues. Running back room I like, but it's a little understaffed, I guess you could say. I don't know.
Understaffed.
Yeah, the room is just kind of shallow. Wide receivers, like you said, is pretty top heavy, and then it breaks down. But I think the guys down towards the bottom have some pretty high upside in Jalen Polk, Troy Franklin, Malachi Corley.
I do like
rookies.
Corley.
So
yeah, that's fair. All right, let's get on over to mine here. Two quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts, Aaron Rodgers. Then we have for the running back room, we've got Rashad White, Joe Mixon, Najee Harris, Zamir White, and then Bucky Irving. Wide receivers, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Michael Pittman, Khalil Shakir, Mike Williams, Rashad Bateman, DJ Chark, and Darius Slayton. And my tight ends there, Dallas Goedert, Dalton Schultz, and Juwan Johnson. So a little bit of correlation there with, Hurts and Goddard. And then really, I'm a little bit high, I guess, on the Jets, which I do have them to win. We both have them to win the division, but with Rodgers and both Mike Williams and Garrett Wilson, I tried to get Malachi Corley as well. He was unfortunately sniped away from my hands there. I like where I'm at with my running backs. I feel like I have 4 guys who are clear RB1s. Who are going to get the workload. I think that, each week these 4 guys have a chance to be scoring real points for me. Again, the Bucky Irving was more of just if Rashad White goes down, then they've got to be able to throw to somebody. Sure. I really like my wide receivers up top, at least Wilson, Olave, and Pittman. I think all of those guys have a chance to be top 10 wide receivers in the NFL this year. And then you have some guys like Mike Williams, Rashad Bateman, DJ Chark, guys who have, been in the league for a little while. As far as Chark and Williams have shown some flash and sparks. Bateman a little bit less, but there's potential there. And I'm always going to take Gary Slayton that late. I think everyone's getting. I love Malik Neighbors, but Hyatt, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Neighbors, they're fun and electric. But Darius Slayton has been the Giants' leading wide receiver for the past, I believe, 3 or 4 years. So people just kind of seem to forget about him. I will not. And then my tight ends there with Goddard, Schultz, and Juwan Johnson. Obviously at this point, everyone you're drafting is going to be a tight end 1. But sure. I think Goddard, he can have some spike weeks. Schultz is a guy who I really like in his ADP. And then Juwan Johnson is just being forgot about. We've talked about it before, guys. With Juwan Johnson and his injury, with his foot injury, he's going to be good to go close to the start of the season, and there's not a huge re-injury risk. And no one who is taking his snaps. I know that there's the Taysom Hill talk, but Sean Payton is no longer with that team, right? I think that, when daddy's not home, nobody's going to want to play with Taysom Hill. So Juwan Johnson, there's a lot of people on his hype train, and then his foot fracture. I understand it sounds scary. We're here to tell you it's not that scary. So do not be scared off Juwan Johnson if you think that he's someone that, he was one of my last picks of the draft. So I'm pretty happy there. All right. Anything for the people before we wrap up and get out of here?
No, I don't think so. We went through all divisions already. We've started throwing out team by team previews. What do we have on the slate for next week?
Next week, I think we're talking training camp position battles. So I know we talked it a little bit this week, but we're going to be talking about, as we get closer into the preseason, we're going to be breaking down some of these position battles there, talk about, we'll probably talk about the Chicago backfield, the Kansas City wide receiver room, who's going to step up and be the third target in Cincinnati, things like that, right? So definitely don't want to miss that. But yeah, hey, Derek hit it right on the head. New channel. So any likes, subscribes, comments, we'll take them all. Any feedback you guys have for us, let us know. Guys, you want to hear, things you want to hear as far as injury, fantasy football, sports betting, or just football in general. Again, we're football junkies here. And we got our division previews all done. 32 team previews coming out. And then go ahead and follow us on social at the Degen Docs on X, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Again, if you're someone who wants that day-to-day news, always giving that on the X there with our breakdowns as far as what happened today, injury, fantasy football-wise. Other than that, folks, the whiskey's done. So you know what that means. It's time for us to get the hell out of here. We'll see you next week. We're going to be going live getting ready for the season where we're going to continue to go live. So again, start getting in those comments, start joining with us, because cash and bets is fun, but cash and bets as a community is just that much better. So you know what they say, folks, a lock a day keeps the bookie away. And we've got your prescription over on the Degen Docs. We are out of here. What's up, Degens? Doc here. As a proud member of the U.S. Army and a lover of football, sometimes those two things cross over on here. But as you probably already know, as a lowly captain, these are just my opinions. These are not opinions that are representative of the entire DoD or the U.S. Army. The same thing goes for any references to any commercial products or hyperlinks. Again, that does not constitute an endorsement from the DoD or the Army. I hope you enjoyed the show, and as always, let it ride, baby.